Day 3 of Patriots training camp. The heat was up, the intensity was down, but we still got some takeaways for you. Let's do it. Welcome, everybody, to the Patriots training camp cast. I'm Mike Dussault, joined by Evan Lazar and Paul Perillo, and we just got off the field, a hot field, I would say. Day 3 of Patriots training camp. And guys, we dialed down the intensity. It was a walkthrough, no helmets at all, just sneakers. Seems like they're putting things in place for tomorrow, some third down work. But overall, not a lot of takeaways, but probably a couple, Paul, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the intensity wasn't there, but, you know, I think you get some work, you get some foundation with the third down package, and now I would agree with you that I would expect tomorrow, you know, all 3 downs would get some work. It'd be, I would think, some extra team periods as you get ready for the real start of camp at the beginning of next week.
We keep moving the goalposts.
Is football back, or is Monday's football's back?
Well,
right?
according
and then
to
football's back on the Hall of Fame game, and then football's back again week 1.
Yeah, listening to the like Garrett Bradbury, he was like, you know, you get some back to school kind of vibes, you know, when he was talking about this stuff. But like all the other offensive linemen, they're looking to start some contact.
Yeah, I mean, to me though, what was on display is just a little bit of how much mental goes into football and how much they need to coordinate. We've seen 2 days of practices where they're working on first and second downs, swing passes, short stuff. Today they started to do some third down work. But you just see so much action going on, guys being coached where to be, working on maybe some of the finer points. So, Ev, I know you were up top. You had the bird's eye view. What did you glean from up there?
Well, I think the biggest thing from a practice like this is just depth chart and, you know, where they see guys fitting into the big picture. And we hadn't seen a ton of, you know, Deuce's third down package over there on defense and where exactly everybody was going to be at. So we saw some like standard nickel, but we also saw some 3 safety looks and Jabril Peppers, you know, playing in the box a little bit. So some different things there. And then I would just say offensively from that standpoint, Stephon Diggs, Pop Douglas, and Kayshon Boutte have been pretty consistently the top 3 receivers on offense. Now we'll see if Kyle Williams can maybe start to push Kayshon Boutte potentially there at some point. But between those 3 guys and whatever they got in store for Jared Wilson, like those are the things that are catching my eye on offense.
So that was one thing that caught the eye of Mike and I today was Jared Wilson. We've seen and we talked about earlier in the week, he comes in, it's usually left guard for Cole Strange. Then the next play he goes to center. Today he was doing a little right guard as well. So
yeah,
I think they're giving him every opportunity to win a job. And if he doesn't, I think it's clearly on the track that he's going to be the top backup at any of those 3 interior positions.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I was a little wary of if he was going to be able to push this early for a starting job because of his inexperience in college. But they seem to really like him. And obviously they drafted him in the 3rd round, so of course they do. But especially in these practices, he's way more involved with the starters or the first-team offense than I ever expected him to be at all 3 interior spots today. So it's interesting to see that.
Yeah, Vrabel pointed out. Sorry, Paul, to cut you off.
I think you're going to say the same thing.
Vrabel pointed out he's a guy didn't really do much in the spring, and now he's been able to get in there and get some experience. So positive sign. Thought it was interesting, though, that offensive line rotation, even though it was a walkthrough, remained the same. You still saw some Trey Jacobs at right tackle, so they're continuing to give those guys opportunities. A couple housekeeping things, though. Carlton Davis back at practice. A little bit of an interesting journey for him over the start of this season. Started on NFI, that came right off, was here, missed yesterday, but now back today. Admittedly in a walkthrough, though, so we'll see if what
Mike
he does.
said it was sort of part of a plan, so I don't think whatever he's dealing with physically, I don't think is too serious. But, you know, piggybacking on those comments that Mike made before practice, back to Jared Wilson, was, you know, he was asked about Jalen Polk, who has not really done anything, hasn't really been seen very much, you know, in the first 3 days. And he talked about it's not the end of the world to miss practice, but when you do come back, mentally and physically, you need to be not show a huge drop-off. And then he brought it back to Jared Wilson, saying, like Wilson, and he sort of went back to Polk, who didn't do much in the spring, was able to hit the ground running when he was physically ready to go.
Yeah, well, another guy, Jalen Polk, again, he wasn't there today as well. Tomorrow we're looking at a little bit of a ramp-up, hopefully. But, guys, this was a low-key walkthrough, but 3 days of practice. I know we can't say anything definitive yet about the 2025 Patriots, but just what are some general impressions that you've taken away from the team so far?
Energy. I feel like everybody's buying into what they're selling. Now, in fairness, I felt like that last year. I thought there was a lot of positive comments with regard to Gerard Mayo and the way he was setting practices up, but I have been struck with a lot of comments. Christian Ellis talked about just the energy level that Mike brings to practice every day. That was a comment that stood out to me. And then some of the guys that he picked, to come in, a guy like Robert Spillane, you hear Marcus Jones call him the commander. And we see, we saw him with Spillane, I'm talking about now, spent some time with your guy, Jabril Peppers, and Duggar, sort of pointing and, getting everybody on the same page. I think there's sort of a consistent combined effort that everybody's pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, I just feel like a lot of the big veterans that they brought in free agency, Milton Williams, Robert Spillane, Stephon Diggs, just so far, and it's only been a couple days, they seem as advertised, to me at least. They passed the eye test out there. You can tell that those guys made some money in the offseason for a reason and were brought in for a reason, not only just playing, but also just leadership and communication, like the things that Paul was talking about with Spillane. I'd throw Harold Landry into that group as well.
Certainly.
So that's a good sign, and hopefully that continues. But those guys were brought in to really elevate the floor of this team and push this team into a much better position to take advantage of bad football, as Mike Vrabel likes to say. And it seems so far like they're doing just that.
Yeah, for me, just to point out something different, I'm just encouraged about the offense right now. And again, 3 days of practice. Today was a walkthrough. They haven't had pads on any of that stuff, but just the look of the operation, Drake May's confidence. Paul, you always said when Tom Brady was here, the ball never hit the ground. We haven't really seen the ball hit the ground much. We haven't seen bad throws. Again, let's temper that with a lot of short stuff. We're not trying to force things just yet. Maybe we'll get into that tomorrow as they get into third down and the tempo picks back up. But overall, I just feel encouraged about the first 3 days. Drake looks comfortable. Stephon Diggs has had a number of catches, and seems like Drake is looking for him. And even some of the other guys that you didn't quite know what to expect. Maybe Demario Douglas had a nice day yesterday. So overall, it seems like things are starting to come together, if you guys would agree.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's going to do it for today. And we're going to come back tomorrow, though, no worries. And we're looking for a longer practice. I think it's going to be about 2 hours and a lot of teamwork. So there'll be a lot more, I think, to digest tomorrow. So, of course, we'll be back with another Patriots training camp cast to keep you guys updated on everything going down here at training camp.